Hey, welcome friends. Hello. Here we are. Date is the 5th of May, 2021. 2021, believe it or not. Here we are. It's the 5th of May. We're nearly halfway through. I guess not really, but we're getting there. This is Chat with Matt. Welcome. Hopefully I'm in the Bright Light Beings free group. And we are here to answer questions and talk about whatever's topical, whatever you want to know about, however we can serve you. Have a conversation with an intention to provide or provoke an energetic experience of transformation. So we're not so much here to impart intellectual wisdom for the sake of intellectual wisdom, although there might be some gems in there for you that might help. Hey, Sister Jane. Ultimately, we're here to facilitate transformation, which might mean trigger you, which might mean support you, which might mean, helping you inquire, become more curious, look at other ways of thinking about things, and generally have an energetic experience of this and relax into it, right? And not take life so freaking seriously. So anyway, I've got a bunch of questions written in ahead of time, so I will do my best to get through those, as well as keep an eye on whatever anyone chooses to add, which you are very, very welcome to do. I put a little meme poster up, which I must have created about 3 years ago or so, which basically says, "There is no need for a fortress. I am safe in my light." When I produced that, it was in response to a lot of people who were promoting, or a lot of, or some of my clients who were coming to me talking about protection mechanisms whereby they, create some force field around themselves to keep themselves safe from the external world, energetically, keep themselves safe from entities, keep themselves safe from malevolence, keep them safe from just the intensity of the world by creating some sort of cocoon, some sort of coconut, some sort of fucking bubble of light that protects them. This idea that there was a very, strong defense mechanism. It was a defensive behavior. And I was trying to point out that there's no need to be defensive when you are confident in yourself, when you're basically confident in the light that you be, and the light that you be radiates out around you as a natural emanation that keeps you safe, right? It's not a force shield. It doesn't have a strong wall. It's not a fortress. It's just your natural beingness. Anyway, that's how it was written. Of course, it promotes all sorts of ideas, because a lot of people have a whole heap of ideas about what safety is. And of course, depending on what level we are identifying with, it depends on whether we feel, whether we identify with safe or not, right? Because the truth is, this physical body is not safe. It's not safe on this planet. Never has been, never will be, right? There's always risk involved. There is always risk involved. You get out of bed, there's risk involved. You stay in bed, there's risk involved, right? We cannot avoid risk. We cannot avoid death. We just can't. And if you're trying to, you're deluded and you're wasting your life, because this life is to be lived and none of us know when it might end. So safe, right? Let's step back a few ideas of who we be. As the being, we are incredibly safe. We cannot be destroyed, and we cannot be tainted as the individuation of God source universe that we be, right? When we come to that understanding of ourselves, then safe is easier to align with. Hello, Sister Janelle, how are you? So anyway, we've got a bunch of questions around safety here, and we'll dig a little bit deeper into that as we go. So anyway, so this first question isn't about safety, I don't believe, because I read this last night and I've completely forgot what it is. I'm going to have to try and read it again. Reading's not my strong point. But here we go. So this is from Joe. Hiya, Matt. Thanks for asking. That's basically, if you've got any questions. Please, can I ask, do I need to try and save the world and try to raise everyone's light level so that we get to this so-called tipping point that is needed for the ascension of the earth? Or do I just need to be happy and be my own person, doing my own thing with light in my heart? Many thanks, Matt. So this is a great question. It's a very common question, and it's a very pertinent question to a lot of people who are in this group. So this idea that a tipping point is needed for the ascension of Earth is complete bullshit for a start, right? Earth is ascending. There is nothing's going to stop that. Whether humanity comes with her is another point. So we're not doing this for the Earth because she's running her own race. We're inhabiting her, just like you have bacteria in your body, and as you ascend, that bacteria is riding with you. It's much the same, right? If you look at the scale of things, we're like bacteria in the earth of Earth. That's pretty much it. Like, we are made up, we the being, we the person, we the biology is made up of more cells that are not of our own DNA than that are, right? We have more bacteria and different life forms living on us and in us than we actually have of cells of our own. We are a community, we are a collaboration, we're a synthesis of all sorts of beings living out their thing, and we call it me, right? Just like Mother Earth calls herself me, and we're just part of her. So anyway, yeah, let's take a step back and talk about this word trying. Do I need to try and save the world? Absolutely not. Trying to save the world is the last thing any of us need to try and do. We can be saviors for the earth. We can be that light, but trying to do anything is never very effective, right? Because as soon as you try to do something, you are basically you're in fight mode right from the get-go. You're pitting yourself against something. Trying is coming from a what's the right word? A foundation that something's going to be hard to achieve, right? And that it's, that you could only try. I can only try and do that. I can't, and as Master Yoda very, very, very correctly said, do or do not, there is no try, right? So anyway, so we don't need to try. And in trying, we basically create stress, which is basically, when we try and do something, we're basically feeding the resistance. That's the point, right? Because we're focused on what we need to overcome. When we align with the outcome and choose to be it, then we feed the outcome. So our job on this planet is to be ourselves as an expression of the divine. That is what will help humanity the most. That is what will please Mother Earth the most. That is what will be the most helpful for you to actually align with the being that you be, right? And be it expansively, expressively, unapologetically, confidently, transparently. Is that easy? No. Are you going to have to apply some effort to overcome your own resistance? Yes. Could that feel like trying? Of course it will. It will feel like trying. I'm not, don't get too caught up in trying not to try now. But the point is to relax as best you can into your natural beingness and to be happy as yourself. Now, happy does not mean party all the time. Happy means content. Happy means accepting of various things that are going on in your life that may not look like success, that may not look like comfort, right? So get out of trying to save the world, get out of trying to lift the vibration on the planet. You just worry about your own vibration, right? And the best way you can lift your own vibration is to stop trying and to relax into the natural beingness that you be. Yes, of course, maintain awareness. Notice when stuff's coming up. Remind yourself that what you're feeling is what you are releasing. Choose to do your practices that help you to relax into your beingness. Breathe, walk in nature, do your meditation, eat good quality food. But that's not trying to lift the vibration. That's just choosing to love yourself, choosing to be in alignment with the truth of who you be. It is as simple as that. You choose love rather than fear, and the planet's going to be fine. Okay, because I've got quite a few questions, I'm going to move on. Sister Lorraine said, do you have any suggestions for dealing with people close to you who are utterly opposed to your spiritual growth? Sorry, Lorraine. I'm laughing because that's your perception of them. They probably don't give a fuck about your spiritual growth, and they're probably not utterly opposed to it. They're trying to ease their own pain. They're trying to cope with their own lives. That's what most people do. Most people are completely selfish. And I'm not making that a wrongness. That's just an awareness that most people are completely self-absorbed and going in their own world. They're not trying to minimize your spiritual growth out of some sort of spite or malevolence. Truly, they're just trying to cope with their own pain. I'm not very happy with the lighting situation here, so let's try that. So they're not utterly opposed. That's your perception of their behavior. I get it though. I get it. They might be behaving in a way that feels like they're utterly opposed to your spiritual growth. So even meditation is seen as being suspect. So I've never dared share my light language, which feels really sad, to be honest. I've tried the say nothing and hoping living by example approach would be sufficient. It seems not. Sufficient for what? Sufficient for them to accept you? Is that what you mean? And the way that you be? Because the only way that that will happen is when you accept yourself, right? Anyway, as a general rule. I am wondering if maybe the opposition itself has a role to play. Of course, everything has a role to play. Any thoughts or encouragement, welcome. Okay, so yes, I'll start at the end now. The opposition always has a role to play in showing you the vibrations that you are holding. Every situation that's happening to us in the external world is a reflection of the energy that we are holding. That's not a wrongness about yourself, by the way. That's not a failing of yours. That's just a repercussion of the history that you have lived. You have been persecuted in many other lifetimes. You have been abandoned and not accepted many, many times over the last, let's say, 5,000 years on this planet. So you're carrying a lot of energy around that, right? And that is what is reflecting out from you, radiating out from you, and attracting certain situations to your life, and also heavily influencing the way you perceive those situations that are coming into your life. The flavor, the narrative that you put on other people's actions is dependent on your own foundations, which is steeped in your history. Right, the way that you've been educated, not just in this lifetime, but in many lifetimes, the experiences that you've had, the pains and the traumas that you've experienced, not just in this lifetime, but in many lifetimes, right? And oaths, vows, promises, contracts, all sorts of shit that you've got going on inside of you is basically influencing how you perceive the world around you, which includes the relationships you're having with other people in your life. If you come to a relationship with not good enough, then everything that they do seems like a criticism. Not everything, but a lot of things that they do seems like a criticism, when in fact, they might not be intending to criticize you at all. They're just getting upon their day, doing what they do, living from their own pains, wounds and things, right? Trying to get on with themselves, right? Cope with their own dysfunction. And yet you are seeing it the way that you choose to see it, basically a program to see it. You are programmed to see it that way. There is no real absolutes in the world. We are all living in our own creation based heavily on how we've been programmed in the past. So the point is to do your own work and not to worry too much about these people around you. I know that's really hard. Hey, Brother Rich, how are you? So, you know, how confident are you in your meditation and your light language? And do you really need to share it with these people who are, you know, close to you? Ideally, you'll get to such a point where you'll just be that light. I know you say that it hasn't worked, but we always see resistance before we see acceptance. Every new idea, every new concept is ridiculed before it's accepted. So when you start changing, when you start being more of yourself rather than people pleasing and trying to be what you expect, what you think they want to see, which is what they basically expect to see from you, because that's what you've done historically, then they will be skeptical about that, right? Nobody likes change on this planet. And those who are close to us always generally resist when we change. So be an allowance of that, and don't lose hope. Don't expect to win them over in a hurry. Don't expect to win them over ever, because ultimately winning them over is not the be end and end all of your existence here on this planet. Diana Paradise is beaming through. So the opposition has the role to play of giving you the opportunity to step up to what you're carrying inside of yourself and come into deep, fundamental, foundational self-acceptance, which is an ongoing process and not a yes-no answer. It's not a achieved or not achieved thing. Self-acceptance is a range, and we all have room to grow. We all have room to improve our level of self-acceptance as our awareness of what self is continues to grow, and that growth is of an infinite nature. So, that's the go, sister. Don't lose hope. Just keep choosing to show up to it. And just remember that your experience of what other people are doing to you is your experience, not necessarily their intent. So relax around feeling, rejected or oppressed or whatever the word is, opposed, and choose to stand confident as yourself. It will create some ripples, and you have to be willing to go through that discomfort, but it's worth it. Sister Rini, I think that's how you say your name. Sorry if it's pronounced incorrectly or another way. Hi, Matt. As more people choose to get shot and they are shedding. Okay, so I presume the shot means the thing that governments are promoting as a vaccination, which may or may not be a vaccination, as vaccinations were traditionally, what's the right word? When you defined, right? Because this thing isn't actually fit in within the definition of what a vaccine should be, or historically has been. Should's a strong word. But anyway, they are shedding. How do I stay in my lane while not getting shot? You just choose. You just choose to trust yourself, to trust your own immune system, and to trust what you know. Don't worry about whether they're shedding or not. That's a fucking story. What is this shedding thing, right? It's just as big a story as what the vaccine is. It's just a bigger story as what the virus is. It's just a bigger story about what anything is on this planet. They're all stories. They're all narratives. They're all psyops, right? All of it. And I'm not just talking about the government's stance on it or the pharmaceutical stance. So I'm talking about the opposition stance as well. They're all psyops, right? They're all stories. They all have science backing them. Depending on who's done the science, they all come up with different answers and different things. At the end of the day, all you need to do is trust your heart, right? All you need to do. So you stay in your lane by basically just trusting yourself and, and living your life based on what you know, what you feel, what you believe. Don't get caught up in being scared of anything. Choose from love, right? Don't be concerned that other people might be shedding. Don't be concerned that the shot might be really bad for them or for you if you get it, if you choose to get it, right? Some of you watching this have chosen to get the shot already. Some of you are considering getting the shot, and I have no problem with people getting the shot. If it feels like the right thing to do, if it feels in your heart that it's the most loving thing to do, go for it. If it doesn't, then don't. But don't be railroaded by fear-based agendas and propaganda, right? There's propaganda coming from both sides. At the end of the day, it's a personal choice. And when you really know who you be, then you don't worry about other people's choices affecting you. You just don't, because you're a sovereign being. And while there might be an effect on the external, all of it is going to help you define yourself as the being that you be, right? You're never the victim of anything. That's the point, right? When situations arise, not of your making, quote unquote, someone else does something in your space, then it's an opportunity for you, not a bad outcome. You're not the victim of that. Brother Rich said, some time ago you spoke how it was easier to offer programs, etc., to people who don't have a past idea of who you are. That is very correct, Brother Rich. Let me see if I can see more here. Come on. Of who you are supposed to be. Did you begin by starting a new page with ads on to reach new people who resonated with your vibration? Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. And I was fortunate enough to wrangle my way onto some telesummits where I got in front of people who had no idea who Matt was in Matt's previous life. So yes, I definitely offering my services to a completely cold audience was very important for me to step into being the new version of myself, right? As opposed to trying to convert people who knew me, knowing me as Matt, as a builder and a lighting technician in the film industry, and all of the rest of it that they knew me to be, and as a yogi, right? And then accepting that Matt is now a facilitator of transformation and a channel of light language, right? That would have been very, very difficult to nurture people through the process of accepting me in the power that I chose to stand in, having known me as something else, quote unquote normal. Matt was more normal, then Matt became more woo-woo. Rather than trying to get people who know you to accept that change, you just find new people, and they then give you the confidence to go back to your old people in a stronger foundation of yourself. And then the old people have no choice but to accept you because you've already accepted yourself, right? The point is, when we start out, we're full of our own doubts. And if we're trying to get people who already know us to accept that we've changed so that we can then accept ourselves, that's a no-win situation, because we will never get people mirroring acceptance to us if we haven't found it within ourselves. We are much better to go off with a little bit of fake it till you make it energy out into the world, which is basically, just stepping past your own resistances and choosing to align with the truth that you know yourself to be. But when you're talking to strangers, then you've got the upper hand there, right? Because you can now be the new role that you're choosing to be, and you don't need to convince them that you've changed from what you used to be. These new people just think that you've always been this way, which in some ways is the truth, right? Because they haven't seen the delusion of you being a more disempowered version of yourself. So yes, start a new page, advertise to cold traffic, basically, offering new services, new level of services, if that's what you're choosing to do, because that can be a very, very much easier way and quite effective way to step into a new expanded role, as opposed to trying to up level from where you currently are, adding new services or a new take on your old services, so to speak. Great question, Brother Rich. Hopefully that helps. Okay, I've lost my cursor here. I have another question from Sister Zena. Come on, give me my computer back. This is a very long question. I'm not going to read all of it, or I'll be here for the rest of my 7 minutes that I have left with chat with Matt. And of course, we'll probably go a few minutes over as per normal history. So anyway, hi Matt. Since this week's topic is about feeling safe, I don't really have a topic. It was just the meme poster I put on was about feeling safe in your own light as opposed to putting a fortress around yourself. Anyway, I would love some suggestions and support on dealing with a situation that is creating considerable anxiety for me. Okay, I'll start reading and I'll try and paraphrase as we go. Just over a year ago, my neighbour's adult son, who has mental health issues, put 5 shots, I presume we're talking about different shots to the ones we were talking about from the last question, through my bathroom window and one through my door. He also came to the front door and threatened me and put shots through a couple of our neighbours' windows as well as assaulting another neighbour. Okay, the motive for these acts was schizophrenic psychosis, and he believed, doesn't really matter. Police took him away several times, but he was able to present as sane enough, been released, hurling rocks, Okay, around this time he moved interstate, and I had heard he was receiving treatment after being arrested for more violent behaviour. Yesterday, his mother, whom I also consider a friend, informed me that her son was returning home in 2 weeks to live with her again. She also told me that she and her husband have a trip away planned and can't cancel, and will be leaving their son alone in the home for a week, immediately after his return. I am fearful of what he might do. I plan to inform the police that he is returning to the area, but do not feel safe. I am not in a situation where I can move and certainly do not intend to be driven from my home. What do you suggest is the best approach to addressing my situation? Okay, so first and foremost, letting go of the fear is important, right? And coming back to the understanding that you are safe as the being that you be, and while your physical body may be harmed in all sorts of ways, none of us get to control that. Of course, when we realize there is a risk in our vicinity, it is prudent for us to take precautions, however that might look, right? So if you know there's someone who's potentially dangerous coming into the area, you do what you can. I'll read that in a moment, Brother Rich. You do what you can, but it doesn't help to worry about it. This is the point. And I know it's really, really hard to overcome fear-based thoughts. But for me, when fear-based thoughts arise, and I've had quite a few of them lately because we've had a few incidents in our home that have, not been particularly conducive to relaxing and to feeling safe all the time. But the point is to trust the process and to remember that we don't get to control the world. We just don't get to control the world. We never have and we never will be. And worrying about it doesn't help. That's right, that's what I was saying. When fear-based thoughts arise, I keep reminding myself that what I am feeling, what I'm thinking is what is coming up to release. So this experience, like all experiences of the external world, as I've talked about in this live stream a couple of times now, all experiences that come to us from the external world are giving us an opportunity to grow, right? And to overcome our idiosyncrasies, our limitations, our resistances, our residues of, what do we call that stuff? Discordance or density, past life traumas, etc., that are in our field. So we take deep breaths, we come to a relaxed space, we open up an intention to be guided as to what actions you can take are best going to serve you in this situation. Getting out of the idea of trying to be right, getting out of the idea of not wanting to be quote unquote driven from your home from some sort of state of pride or sense of what is fair and what is not, and just listening to your inner guidance and doing what you feel is most appropriate for you, right? Don't fight against the world. If it's appropriate for you to go away for a week, then do that, right? If it's not, and you choose to overcome your fears and stay in your home and be confident in yourself, then do that. But whatever you do, choose to do it from a space of love and confidence in yourself, rather than feeling that you're getting pushed around by the external world, rather than feeling that you are reacting to fear and threat from the external world, right? This whole world and this whole shit show of an experience that's going on in the external world at the moment, as the shadow masculine energies are falling apart, is an opportunity for us to really stand in our confidence. Is it easy? Not at all. Not at all. So be willing. So be willing to face this situation and see that it is really an opportunity for you to grow. And there's no sort of pass and fail. It's not that I'm saying it's an opportunity for you to grow, so get over your fears and stay at home without any fear. That's not what I'm saying at all. This is an opportunity for you to really dig deep into a loving relationship with yourself and take action from that space. Let go of the past stories. Be willing to feel into what is true in this moment. Choose not to hold history as some sort of oracle for what the future will be. This man or this boy has been violent in the past. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be violent in the future. At the same time, it is prudent for us to remember to have long memories of what has happened in the past, but not to use that to overly influence what could potentially happen in the future, right? It's a balance there. It's a real balance there. And we should not just forget what's happened in the past, because we learn from it. We learn what is possible from looking at what's happened in the past, but we don't let that be the totality of what can happen moving forward into the future. And we certainly don't allow it to be the totality of what is going to happen moving forward into the future, because we are growing out of our past, each and every one of us. Hopefully this is helping. So yeah, do your practices to help you relax and allow yourself to make a loving choice as to what is the most appropriate thing for you to do moving forward. Choose from love, not fear. I am going to flick back up here. I think I have to refresh this page and see the questions or the comments that I have missed. We are coming towards the end of this. Thank you very much, calendar. Here we go. So Brother Rich said, thanks, Matt. Life has done a pretty good job of ending old relationships when I don't buy into each successive partisan psyops. Yeah, exactly. We don't need to get too conscious about trying to manage our relationships. Ultimately, if we just stay in our lane and be the vibration that we're choosing to be, then the very act of our vibration attracting or repelling things that don't or do align with us will do the job for us, right? It'll do the job. People tend to auto-select whether they can cope with our energy, whether they appreciate our energy or not. And the more intent and intense you choose to become in your own energy, right? The more that you honor your own energy and stop manipulating your energy to please other people, to show up as expected by other people, then the more effective that process is of auto selection. You just be the light that you be, and things that align with you will come into your life, and things that don't align with you will move out of your life. Of course, there will be protests along the way. Of course, you will be challenged on that. It's not a magical, completely comfortable experience, right? Things come up. Things don't always just slowly disappear quietly. Sometimes it is in a, rather confrontational experience that people auto-select, but that's okay. We're here to be confident as the light that we be, and we're not here just to experience no challenges. So awesome. Diana said, always great for me to have to remember it has come up to be released. Yeah, this is really important for me. I've had quite a uncomfortable 2 weeks, to be perfectly honest, and there's been a lot of that mantra going into my head. What I'm feeling is what I'm releasing, physically, mentally, and emotionally, because it is a awesome time right now on the planet to be letting go of what doesn't serve us any longer. It is coming up with voracious intent or intensity to be released. So not easy. We move forward with compassion for each and every one of us, firstly holding compassion for yourself, and then holding compassion for everyone around you who is going through the same process, believe it or not. Whether they seem to be on the external or not, I can guarantee you everyone is being confronted with their stuff. Some people are just very, very good at holding a mask over their face. Some people are not accepting it for themselves yet, and it's still building like a volcano inside them. But by and large, right, this is the process that humanity is going through, and everyone will have to face it sooner or later. Of course, some people don't have nearly the same amount of history as many of you in this group have, e.g. you have shown up on this planet over the last epoch of time as a light worker, aligned with the light, and that has been, basically we've been on the losing side for a while. So we are carrying some wounds about that, right? We are carrying some persecution energy and some traumas, significant traumas, right? Many of us have PTSD from past lifetime, and so and others that you may be moving with on the planet are not in that situation. They're not of that ilk, and they don't have that history. So don't choose to compare yourself too much with other people and think that there's something wrong about you. It's just your history is at the moment very hard for you to deal with as it comes up to purify. Janelle wrote, love that mantra too. Debilitating unworthiness stopping me in my tracks this year. Yeah. I'll read that here. In this, wondering whether I was getting stuck in it. What I'm feeling is what I'm releasing. Yeah. So trust that debilitating unworthiness is coming up for a reason, and it's not wrong and it's not bad. I have been very, very similar, and I've spent most of this year basically choosing to align with my beingness more than to try and expand my business, for want of a better term, right? More than trying to reach for new success levels, I've chosen to spend this year digging deep into the foundation of who I be, because I recognize that without that foundation, moving forward into this very turbulent time that is upon us is pointless, right? You can try and build a house of cards on rocky foundations, but it's going to fall. So now is the time to spend really digging into your foundation and really facing these fundamental insecurities or traumas that we are carrying. And unworthiness is a very, very common one amongst us all in this group, my friends. So be willing to not make it wrong that you feel unworthy. Be willing to understand that you're basically a war hero carrying PTSD, right? And it was a just war. It wasn't really a war, but we've shown up on this planet to hold the light as bright as we could, which was very, very important, even though it was sort of a suicide mission in many ways, right? We were never going to, quote unquote, win the day, but maintaining a glimmer of light on the planet was important. And so we've chosen to do that. It has been a little bit of a sacrificial role, no doubt. From the point of view, not from the point of view of our soul or our higher self, they've gained immensely from showing up to these challenges. But for us, the personality with all of the shit that's stuck in our energetic field, it feels like a bit of a sacrifice, let's face it. And it's certainly a hurdle for us now, a challenge for us now to move through the process of healing from those experiences, for releasing those traumas, and for coming back into our deeper sense of self and a level of confidence with ourself and basically self-acceptance. That's where the work is. You can forget about self-love. If you haven't found self-acceptance yet, then self-love is a long way off, right? Because you have to find that level of acceptance, then you will find a level of appreciation, and then love will come naturally, right? And until you can really follow that path, accept yourself, then you can't expect other people to accept you. You can't expect other people to come into your life and make up for what you can't get for yourself, right? That doesn't work. It doesn't work. So you align with your acceptance, then you will find acceptance coming from the external. And not necessarily immediately. So as you start choosing to align with your acceptance, what will happen is you will see rejection coming at you as it's basically a reflection of what you are releasing. Oh, someone else has rejected me. What I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, what I'm thinking is what I'm releasing. So as you keep choosing to align with your self-acceptance, you will have successive challenging experiences where that energy that's being released from your field, because it can no longer stay in your field, right? If you choose to keep aligning with self-acceptance, then self-rejection and self-judgment can't stay there. But as it's leaving, it attracts situations that look like the energy that's leaving, right? So judgment from others and rejection from others comes into your space as you are choosing to stand in your own level of self-acceptance. And that seems really unfair, and it seems really counterintuitive, and it seems like you're basically getting punished, or that you're failing, right? Because I'm choosing self-acceptance and I'm receiving judgment and rejection from the external world. So something's gone wrong here because I'm choosing something and I'm getting the opposite. We take a deep breath and we remember that is the normal process, and that's why it's so freaking hard to succeed, right? That's why it's so hard to progress. This is why so few people are living a very expansive expression of themselves on this planet, because as soon as they start stepping in that direction, it seems like they're getting stonewalled. It seems like they're getting they're self-sabotaging, or the universe is saying they've gone the wrong way, right? A lot of people say, oh, it's not time yet, it's not happening easily. It never happens easily, my friends. Nothing that I've done good in this life has happened easily. Things you can do it with a degree of ease, but that's an internal choice, not an external situation, right? When we first choose to step into being more expansive in our light, we can expect to receive challenges. Diana wrote, thank goodness the world is starting to understand what PTSD is, and we are not crazy. True story. British movie Regeneration. Is that the right? Am I saying that right? No, it's maybe it is Regeneration. Sorry, I'm so dyslexic, it's ridiculous. Is about that theme set in World War I. It is also called Behind the Lines and is on YouTube. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, look at these real, more present experiences of what dealing with significant trauma looks like, and understand that we're carrying traumas from other lifetimes. Many of us have been, not just killed in violent ways, but tortured first and programmed and really, really horrendously abused. We're carrying scars of that. I'm not telling you that so you feel like a victim of that. I'm just telling you that so you can be more compassionate with yourself as you choose to move forward. Don't use it as a story that keeps you small. Use it as a story that empowers you to step through the process and trust that your healing is worth it, and you are capable, right? We are all capable of succeeding. Anyway, friends, I'm running out of time because I've got another session starting in a moment. Much love. This was Chat with Matt for this week. I will intend to be back next week. I will be on the road. I'll be on the way up to a retreat that we are running next weekend. Not this coming weekend, but next weekend. So I'll be driving up on Wednesday. The retreat starts Thursday afternoon, goes through the weekend. But my intention is to be here. If I'm not, I will apologize in advance. Hopefully I can find some internet connection somewhere either on the road or before we leave home. I don't even know where we'll be Wednesday morning. No doubt it'll be somewhere where there's a hot pool, because Marie always plans our road trips around where there's hot pools and geothermal water. That is part of the blessing of New Zealand. Anyway, and we don't have much around here. We don't have any around where we live, but on the way to where we're going, there's plenty. So anyway, my friends, I intend to come to you somewhere from there. Much love to you all. If you have problems, concerns, issues, you want clarification on anything that's been spoken or anything that's not been spoken, reach out to me, right? We can organize a session, or I can talk to it in another live stream or something like that. I'm here to serve you as best that I can. Much love. Bye for now. Namaste.